Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to was sent to me by one of our admins. The message reads like this. Good morning, Brother Nashi. Please keep me as anonymous. This is my story about how I ended up doing rituals for money. As for my husband, my husband, he died. He died in a car accident. I received the news whilst I was in my last trimester, and when I received the sad news about the passing away of my husband, my world suddenly stopped. The earth started to spin on me, and it is said that I had collapsed only to wake up in hospital. The doctors had performed an emergency cesarean section on me so as to save my baby's life. My body had refused to feed this baby that I was carrying because of the stress. I attended my husband's funeral sitting on a wheelchair, recovering from the cesarean section. My husband, he never got the chance to meet his own son. As for my husband, he had such big plans for his own son, and I knew that he was going to be a great dad. He lived to see him. I last saw my husband's relatives the day that we buried him. They had turned their backs on us, and no one even came to check up on us. Even my husband's sisters, the one that pretended as if they loved me a lot, whenever they would come at our house when my husband was still alive, they kept on saying, Makoti, you are the best thing that has ever happened to our dear brother. You control him and you treat him really nice, because my husband previously, it seemed as if he had some issues with discipline, but ever since he started dating me, that was when I told him that I wanted a man who had class and a man that was disciplined enough. And after my husband had passed away, I was never there nice Makoti like they used to tell me. They had turned their back on me and my son. I had named my son Asha. My husband had came from a well-up family, and he even had relatives that were in the diaspora. But when he died, his relatives completely turned their backs on us. I just needed them to be emotionally available. That was all that I wanted. I toiled every day for my son so that he could get food on his table. Sometimes I would go to the burbs to do piece jobs like doing laundry, cleaning, and sometimes doing the garden, but the money was just little. It was barely enough to cover just the basics. It was just from hand to mouth. I even tried to find a blesser. Believe you me, I tried to find me a blesser, but the only thing that he blessed me with was a terrible infection. Look, when you want to start dating these blessers, at least you need to have the mind of a hustler. If you go and date these blessers, and if they see that in your mind you do not have that attitude of a hustler, you are just an honest woman, they will use you, sleep with you, and dump you, because they do not want caring women. They want women who wants to give them a good time. As for me, when I dated this blesser, I thought that maybe he was having issues with his wife. That was why he was cheating on his wife. But no, he was just a man who loved women. When he saw that I was a humble person who was trying to become his wife, yet he was trying to run away from his own humble wife, so to end up with another humble side chick, that was not what he wanted. My brother, I was then given an STI, which took months and a lot of medication to clear up. He was a promiscuous somebody with many girlfriends, and I feared that he would give me the virus. No, he was not worth my time. I wanted to be alive when my son will graduate from university, so I dropped that blesser man. Life continued to be very difficult for us, but my resolve was very strong that Asha would get the best of the best in life. I had now found a job as a maid and lived with my son on the cottage so as to save money on rentals. Besides, the family was good to me. I had no complaints at all. One day they told me that they will be relocating to the United Kingdom and that they were really grateful to have met me in life. They said to me, they cannot let me go, but they had to let me go. This was the woman when she spoke to me. She said, I am really sad. I am really sad that I have to let you go because we are leaving. They felt so sad, but also happy that they were going to start afresh. They gave me a token of gratitude. And from the money that I was saving, I knew that I had to make a plan first so that the money does not run out. I decided that I will venture into a business that I would grow into an empire one day, an empire that my son was going to inherit and run one day. I was going to create what they call generational wealth for him. Wealth that would cater for his children and their children and many, many generations to come. I was introduced to cross-border trading by my neighbor close to me, close to where I had started to rent on my own. We had become close and she knew that I was hardworking and she told me that I could double the money that I was getting from my little business. True to her word, Miss M, that is what I am going to be calling her. She held me by my hand in showing me the ropes. As for Miss M, she went to Mozambique to stock her bells. She used to sell, those used clothes. Some of them, they are from Turkey, UK, America, but most of them, they are from China. Because it was a new venture, she taught me where to buy all the good quality stuff, as well as to smuggle the bells of clothes from Mozambique, because the customs, the duty is going to cost you a leg and arm. Shoes, bedding, to mention just a few, was what I was getting from Mozambique. It was indeed a lucrative business where we would resell those bells. In our language, we call them mabero. Where we lived, I started with one bell of baby clothes, and because they were such good quality, they sold like hotcakes. I kept the profit and I went back for the shoes, which again were on demand. As for the shoes, there are those original shoes like your Nikes and your Adidas. Then they are like those ones that look like they are real original, but they are not original. Those were the ones that I was going to get in Mozambique. Wow. I was forever grateful for what Miss M had done, because she had lifted me from the grass straight to grace. I would keep some money aside to keep on stocking more, then I'll keep the profits. Bit by bit, my business started to bloom to the extent that I bought a small piece of land in the high-density suburbs. I would bring in 4 to 5 bells of used clothes per week, and they would sell quickly. Miss M had taught me well. Instead of selling these clothes bell by bell, I had to become the supplier. People would come to me, they would give me money, then I would go and order for them there in Mozambique whatever they wanted, and I became known as the hustler, the transporter. Yes, indeed, that movie that is called The Transporter. They used to call me hustler, the transporter. It was big business, but it involved a lot of smuggling, because for you to get passed through the border, it was really tough, such that at times I would bring in 200 bells of used clothes from Mozambique back into our country. Life changed for me. I could not believe my luck. I even developed my piece of land and upgraded from being someone who was renting out to become a landlady. Business continued to bloom. However, bringing in these bells/bero was a cat and a mouse game between the transporters and the police, as well as Zimra. Zimra is the revenue authority here in our country in Zim, for it is considered smuggling. Smuggling was an offense whereby you could land yourself in prison. So at times we would receive tips of that the revenue authorities and the police were at such and such a place. Whenever we would be traveling, we used to have this private car. As for this private car, it will be traveling at least about 2 to 3 kilometers ahead of us. It was the one that will be scouting the roads, and then the guys will be communicating with us. They will tell us that the police and the revenue authorities, they were at this place, and we used to hide until they would have clocked off. 20-hour roadblocks were the worst, for we had to make use of back roads or go deep into the bushes and hide until their operations had ended. It worked well for me until one day my drivers were attacked and hijacked. One day, as usual, we were coming from Mozambique with a truck full of bales. I had established myself, and sometimes before the trip, I would make calls to the shops in Mozambique to reserve the best, good quality used clothes, and they would set them aside, and I would pay them their money, easy as that, and have the truck loaded, and I would come back and supply. One day, unfortunately, my truck was hijacked. This was a heavy setback for me, as people who were now demanding for their bills or that I give them refunds. I had none of the two, for the clothes had been stolen, the stock had been stolen. I also did not have money for the refunds, as I had already used the money to order the bells. I was caught between a rock and a hard place. I even got headaches trying to think where I was going to get the money. My driver said he knew someone who would help me to recover both the truck and the bells. I asked him how that was even possible. He confided in me that before he used to work for me, he had worked for a man that was called Love More, who was also into the same business, but he had retired from the business and was now into farming. His truck had been hijacked, and his truck had been recovered. He had recovered everything. That is how I met this man that is called Lipo Lipo. Yeah, dear listeners, right there was the first message that was sent to me by our admin. I'll be back with another episode.